and welcome to Inside 11Alive News Investigates, where we take you, our viewers, behind the scenes of our investigations. I'm Jennifer Bellamy. Tariffs, a subject most of us never talked about, but now tariffs are dominating the news cycle. Are prices going up? Are they going down? And if so, by how much? 11Alive News Investigates decided to do a practical price check to help consumers make sense of it all. Take a look.
It is hard to keep track of all of these developments when we're talking about tariffs. But what I really want to know is how much more could we be paying for the exact same stuff?
We keep hearing about what could happen, and what I want to know is what is happening.
So we are going to run our own test, tracking prices to see how much they change.
We should focus on things that people really may need to buy and hit some of the major retailers looking for products that are made overseas. Oh, this is one of ours. And these products, they aren't hard to find. Like, these sheets are from China.
This is from Pakistan. These light bulbs, made in China.
Ooh, I wonder what they're going to do if the prices do go up, because it's right there on the packaging.
In just a few trips, we had a list of more than 100 products, from neighborhood stores to popular websites, the products coming from more than 30 countries. But we placed an emphasis on China, since that's where the big trade war seems to be right now.
We're not just watching prices. Some companies may try to quietly reduce the quantity to keep the price the same in hopes you won't notice the difference.
We started tracking prices before the tariffs went into place and then checked again this week. So far, the only place we're really seeing changes is online. Remember, tariffs apply to imported goods, so prices on products already in U.S. warehouses probably won't feel effects just yet, which may be why we haven't seen store prices really go up.
But it could take weeks before we see other changes, because it's the orders that stores are placing now that are going to face whatever tariff is in place.
And that is when we're going to find out if the companies that make the products or the stores that sell them are going to be willing to absorb that cost, or if it's just going to get passed on to you and me, the consumer.
We'll be watching. For 11Alive News Investigates, I'm Liza Lucas.
And I'm Rebecca Lindstrom.
Joining me now to talk about what's happened to those prices since they started tracking them are consumer investigative reporter Liza Lucas and senior investigative reporter Rebecca Lindstrom. So to start things off, why did y'all want to take this approach to look at tariffs?
I think, as we said in the story, we are hearing a lot of talk about what could happen. We're hearing a lot of talk about how many countries are being impacted, or the rules and regulations around these countries. Are countries getting exemptions? So we really wanted to take a tangible look at what actually is happening.
Yeah, and we really wanted to focus on everyday items, really practical items. You said that practical price check, things that people are really going out and buying. So your socks, your avocados at the grocery store, TVs. And when we talk about countries, we're talking about more than 20 that we're tracking within these products at last count. Now, China, we know, has faced the highest in terms of those tariff increases, but other countries are still subject to a 10% tariff. So there's still a lot going on here.
And as we've heard some businesses talk about already in the news, not every business is going to be willing or able to absorb that added cost. Here's what we found out so far.
More than 100 products price checked before the tariffs went into effect, and now. Some people say they're feeling the pinch.
Moving up a little bit slowly, it's creeping.
Just when I'm shopping online, they just got a little bit of an increase.
And we noticed it too. Most prices just went up a few cents, like this lamb from New Zealand. But this bookcase jumped $20, and this TV will cost customers another $100.
And some products, regardless of their price, were just not even there. We certainly saw that with several products on Temu and Shein. First the price jumped, now it's out of stock.
I was tracking Colgate toothpaste. First it was out of stock, then when it was back, it was more expensive, actually $1 more.
Right now, 16% of the products we're tracking have either gone up in price or are not available.
And I think that's one of the biggest impacts, is that the start and stop and start and stop nature of these policies are making it impossible for companies to actually forecast what their costs are going to be.
That's Tom Smith, the director of the Masters of Finance program at Emory. He says we could really start feeling it by summer, when stores have been forced to make decisions And what happens after the 90-day pause is still unknown.
Maybe they're not as susceptible yet because they ordered product and had it delivered before the initial tariffs went in place.
Of course, we're going to be watching to see what happens, but right now it seems like saving money is going to come down to choice. Several of the Colombian coffees we're tracking have gone up in price, but you can switch to save.
So far, I really actually haven't noticed it. Things are about the same price right now.
Remember, the prices on most of the products we're tracking haven't changed.
Same price, same price, same price.
I asked Smith about stockpiling and what he thought of that. Things that are unique or hard to find, like Madagascar vanilla, which has not gone up in price, by the way. And here's what he said about that.
That's not a bad suggestion if it's within your budget. Many consumers live paycheck to paycheck.
He says a better idea?
Start looking at your personal finances, really do a deep dive. I don't think enough consumers really understand where all their money is going.
And that's a lesson that can help long after all this talk about tariffs. In Atlanta, I'm Liza Lucas.
And I'm Rebecca Lindstrom for 11Alive News Investigates.
Actually moved, what happened? Y'all also talked about products being out of stock. That's something that kind of stuck out to me. So does that mean a product is out of stock everywhere necessarily?
Well, you know, we had to work on the factors that we could control because we know that there are a lot of variables when we talk about tariffs in general and policy changes. So we wanted to keep things consistent. So we're going back to the same store every time as we check these prices. So if a pair of socks was out of stock at one location, it still might be available somewhere else, but that's kind of the point of this whole story. We're trying to highlight the gap here and maybe some of these tough choices where stores are having to make these when they run out of a specific item.
They're having to ask, do we reorder the product and just sort of figure out a way to eat the cost? Do we pass it on to the consumer? If we do, are the consumers going to be willing to spend that much for it, or are there so many other cheaper options that they can just decide we're going to do without that specific brand for a while?
So you speak about brands, and I know people love their coffee.
Love my coffee.
They don't want to stray. They've got their favorite. So it's a struggle there to kind of make sure that you're getting the same thing. We talked a little bit about maybe the origin of the country, switching that up to keep the cost the same. Maybe people might be willing to do that, maybe they are not. But did you notice any other product where a similar situation was going on with that, where you can maybe change the country of origin to save a little bit?
Well, we're definitely seeing some nuances in terms of the TVs that we're tracking. And we didn't want to single out any particular stores here. You saw we've gone to a variety as we do these price checks because we know that every store is going to have some tough decisions on what they're doing here and how they're going to handle this. But we have been going back to one particular electronics store when we talk about the tech items, the TVs and the other home goods, laptops, things like that. So,
and the last time I was at that store and I was checking on the prices of the TVs, what I really noticed is that all of the TVs at that store carried from China, almost all of them were gone. Instead, the showroom floor was filled with products from other countries, specifically like Samsung was what I noticed, and that of course is a Korean brand.
And that again is part of this whole conversation as we try and track these prices. That may be another consequence of this, that increased prices and also fewer choices for consumers, because you may be willing to pay more for a specific product, but a store has to decide whether they're going to take that gamble on someone.
All right, so any other trends that you guys found interesting? Because there are certainly a lot. It has a lot of factors here.
And that's why I love doing this really practical analysis of what is happening, because I think it gives you that better real-time ability to take a look at the different trends. Certainly from the beginning, one of the first things that we noticed were those online prices spiking, especially with retailers that were selling products direct from China. For a while, some seller had a specific line item highlighting the increase from tariffs, but some of that has now calmed down. The products are still more, but I would say by and large, those price increases are not as dramatic, or again, we're just finding that the products are not available.
And then people need to also remember that just as things fluctuate with the tariffs and things change, even if they went away tomorrow, it's still going to take months for that supply chain to stabilize, depending on these choices that business are having to make. And that's one thing that our experts relayed, and what we're hearing broadly from businesses is that they're looking for that consistency so they can make those decisions about what to do next. President Trump had given countries that 90-day reprieve from some of the higher tariff rates. Now he's saying he may not wait that long, so it's just really hard for businesses to know what to do. And I think that uncertainty is what we're hearing over and over again. There have been a lot of earnings calls lately from some major companies, many of which are in the backyard of Atlanta, that are projecting that. They're having trouble making that forecast.
Yeah, and we've, as you said, heard a lot of that too.
And that's why we wanted to track these products again, kind of in real time, be able to provide that to our viewers. We have just really had fun kind of even hearing about some of the things that our viewers have been interested in having us track.
What are some things that people have been interested in?
Chips Ahoy cookies.
Oh,
Right?
okay.
Coffee, toilet paper.
Kleenex, I think, yeah.
Allergy season makes sense.
Right, definitely the coffee. We got that one.
Yeah.
So, you know, just even seeing, we picked these products because, again, they were tangible. We thought we could see someone in a family setting going out to the store and buying these socks and, you know, maybe small pieces of furniture. You think about a car, there's so many variables involved in cars. Someone asked us, why aren't we tracking the price of cars? But I just think that fluctuates too much. So we really just wanted these kind of everyday, go out to the store, run some errands, pick up these items type of products to track. And so we picked what we thought made sense. But yeah, it's been great hearing what some of our viewers have been interested in as well.
Yeah, this has really been fascinating and eye-opening. So thank you both for sharing that with us. As we wrap up here, if you have a product, you know, I was just asking them about what they were interested to hear. If you have a product that you're interested in letting folks know about, is it too late for folks to contact you guys and get something in on this action for price checking and following?
Definitely send us an email. Let us know the size, what you're noticing in the store. If you have your receipt, even better, because that gives us a lot of context. And you can see the email up on your screen. It is pricecheck@11alive.com.
That's right, and y'all also need the size and stuff because y'all are also talking about
The
quantity.
shrinkflation,
Exactly,
right.
yeah.
So if people tell us that they've been trying to track or figure out what a thing of, I'm trying to think of a product that would come
Coffee,
out from
we keep
overseas.
talking about.
Coffee, you know, I
We've been
mean,
watching some
chocolate, yeah, maybe it's an 8-ounce package, but the next time you go to the store, you find that it's 7.5 ounces. A lot of people just aren't looking for that fine print. They just notice the price and say, oh, well, the price is the same, I guess it hasn't gone up. Or maybe the 3-ply toilet paper becomes 2-ply. I don't know, but that's why we're just really trying to look at these details so that if the prices do stay the same, but we're hearing this undercurrent that really this is putting pressure on the system, we can take more of a detailed, granular look to see if something's changed in the way that product is being made or presented to customers.
A lot of layers to this still. Thank you so much. Really an important topic that really impacts us more than we might imagine. So thank you all. We do want to remind everyone, even if you don't have a story that's related to tariffs, you can always connect with Rebecca or Liza or any of our 11 Alive News investigators by calling the number on your screen. It's 404-873-9111. You can also send us an email to investigates@11alive.com. Thanks for joining us for Inside 11 Alive News Investigates. We'll see you next time.